The morning sun had just begun to stretch its golden arms across the town of Melrose when young Aidan stepped out of his house, rubbing his eyes and yawning. At 12 years old, he was known for two things: his quiet nature and his habit of noticing things no one else did. While others rushed through life, Aidan paid attention to the way the flowers leaned when the wind spoke, to the lonely bench where an old man often sat, and to the small moments that made each day feel different from the last. This particular morning felt heavier than usual. A strange restlessness hummed in the air, as though the town were holding its breath. Aidan couldn't explain the feeling, but he sensed it was going to be one of those days that stayed with him long after it had passed. He slung his backpack over his shoulder and began walking toward Melrose Central School. The streets were already bustling. Mrs. Bloom was arranging fresh tulips at her flower stand, Mr. Ramos was unloading crates of apples, and little Nina, who lived across the street, was chasing her dog, Biscuit, with an exasperated squeal. Everything looked the same, yet something felt different. On the way, Aidan stopped by the narrow alley that led to the old bridge. Most people avoided it. It was small, shaded, and a little eerie, but Aidan liked it. It felt like a secret path the world had forgotten. As he passed by, he heard a faint sound, a soft, distressed chirping. Curiosity pulled him toward it. There, near a stack of wooden crates, he found a tiny bird with its wing caught under a torn piece of wire. It fluttered weakly, too exhausted to struggle anymore. Aidan dropped to his knees immediately. "It's okay. I've got you," he whispered, even though he wasn't sure the bird could understand. With slow, careful movements, he freed the trembling creature. It was light, so light, he feared it might vanish from his hands. He cupped it gently, inspected the wing, and realized it wasn't broken, just strained. He placed the bird safely near a patch of leaves and left a few crumbs from the biscuit he had saved for break time. The bird blinked at him once, as if in gratitude. Aidan smiled. Most people wouldn't think much of this moment, but to him, it felt important. A small act, yes, but one that mattered. He hurried to school, arriving just before the bell rang. The rest of the morning went on as usual: math quizzes, history notes, and chatter about the upcoming Melrose Festival, the biggest event of the year. The festival was scheduled for that afternoon, and everyone in town had been preparing for weeks. There would be music, food stalls, balloon arches, a parade, and the annual charity drive that helped fund the town's community center. But as noon approached, the restless feeling Aidan sensed earlier began to intensify throughout Melrose. No one knew that something was about to go very wrong. When school ended, Aidan joined the flow of students heading toward the festival grounds, a large open park decorated with bright streamers and colorful tents. The smell of roasted corn and sweet pastries filled the air. Children chased bubbles while musicians tuned their instruments. Everything looked bright, cheerful, and perfect. But somewhere in the chaos, a single thread was unraveling. A sudden shout pierced the crowd. Then another. People turned toward the entrance of the park, confusion spreading like wildfire. "The generator isn't working," someone yelled. The Melrose Festival relied heavily on a large generator that powered everything, from the lights strung overhead to the sound system for the performances. Without it, the entire event would fall apart. Within minutes, the joyful chatter turned into anxious murmurs. Volunteers scrambled around. Technicians tried to fix the problem, but nothing seemed to work. The generator, old and worn, had finally given out. Mayor Ellis paced frantically near the stage. "This can't be happening today of all days," she muttered. "The community center depends on the donations we raise here." Aidan watched the crowd from a distance. People were growing restless. Without electricity, evening events could not take place. The parade would be cancelled. The charity auction would be impossible. The lantern ceremony, the most beloved tradition, would be lost. In the midst of the confusion, Aidan noticed something no one else did. Near the generator, beside one of the heavy crates used for festival supplies, lay a small metal ring, a key ring with a strange symbol on it. It looked old and unfamiliar. And it wasn't just lying there, it was caught in a narrow crack of the ground, as if someone had dropped it while rushing. Aidan picked it up and examined it, wondering if it belonged to one of the technicians. As he ran his fingers over the metal, a faint memory stirred. That symbol, he had seen it somewhere. And then it clicked. The bird. That morning, when he freed the trapped bird, he'd noticed that same symbol scratched faintly into the wooden crate beside it. At the time, he thought nothing of it. But now, his mind raced. The alley. The crates. The bird caught in the wire that might have been part of, yes, a piece of equipment. He dashed toward the alley he passed earlier, his heartbeat thudding with urgency. When he reached the spot, he scanned the area. The wooden crates were still there. He knelt down and moved them aside, searching for anything unusual. Behind the crates, half hidden under a tarp, was a small metal toolbox, rusted and dusty, as if forgotten. The symbol on the toolbox matched the key ring exactly. With shaky hands, Aidan used the ring to unlock it. Inside were several old electrical tools, spare wires, fuses, and a compact backup generator fuse, the exact part needed to revive the festival generator. His breath caught in his throat. He didn't fully understand why the spare part was here, or who left it, but he understood one thing: without this fuse, the festival would be doomed. He grabbed the part and sprinted back to the festival grounds. By the time he returned, the atmosphere was grim. The crowd had thinned. Many families were preparing to leave. The festival committee stood near the main generator, defeated. "Excuse me," Aidan shouted, pushing through the adults. "I found this. I think it fits." At first, the technicians stared at him in disbelief. But when he showed them the fuse, their eyes widened. "Where did you get this?" one of them asked. "It was in the alley, in an old toolbox. I think someone dropped the key earlier." The lead technician examined it, then let out a breath of relief. "This is exactly the part we need." Within minutes, they replaced the damaged fuse and restarted the generator. The machine sputtered, groaned, then roared back to life. Lights flickered. Speakers hummed. The festival came alive again, brighter than before. Cheers erupted across the park. Mayor Ellis approached Aidan, her eyes filled with warmth. "Young man, you just saved the entire festival. How did you even know where to look?" Aidan shrugged shyly. "I just remembered something from this morning." "What happened this morning?" she asked. "I helped a bird stuck near some crates. I saw this symbol there, and when I saw the key today, I recognized it. So I thought maybe the toolbox was there too." And it was. The mayor placed a hand on his shoulder. Sometimes the smallest things lead to the biggest changes. The festival resumed with renewed energy. Lights glowed. Music soared. Laughter rippled through the night. And as the sun dipped behind the hills, Aidan's classmates approached him with wide eyes. "You're a hero," one of them said. Aidan shook his head. "Not really. I just noticed something." But deep down, he knew it wasn't just about noticing. It was about caring enough to act. As night fell, the lantern ceremony began. Hundreds of lanterns floated into the sky, painting it with warm, shimmering light. Aidan released his own lantern slowly, watching it rise and drift among the stars. Mayor Ellis stepped onto the stage to address the crowd. "Tonight," she announced, "we owe this festival to a young boy whose small act of kindness this morning set everything in motion. He didn't know it then, but by helping a tiny creature, he uncovered the clue that saved our day. Let us remember that no act of kindness is ever too small." People clapped, some wiping tears from their eyes. Aidan's parents hugged him tightly, pride radiating from them. But Aidan's gaze drifted beyond the people, beyond the stage, toward the darkened alley in the distance. Something about the strange symbol still lingered in his mind. It felt like part of a bigger story, one he didn't fully understand. The next morning, he returned to the alley. The bird he had saved was perched on a branch overhead, its wing fully healed. When it saw him, it let out a soft chirp and fluttered down to land briefly on his shoulder before flying away into the sky. Aidan watched it disappear with a smile. That day, the town of Melrose buzzed with talk of the festival miracle. People praised the technicians, the volunteers, and of course, the quiet boy who helped save the day. But Aidan didn't think of it as a miracle. To him, it was simple. One little act had led to another, each connecting like threads in a tapestry until the whole picture emerged. And though he didn't seek attention or rewards, he carried with him a quiet pride, not for being a hero, but for proving that kindness, no matter how small, always mattered. It wasn't just the little act that saved the day. It was the heart behind it.